After the siege of Oxford, Charles surrendered to the Scots at Newark, who sold him to the Covenanted Parliamentarians, from whom he was taken by the uncovenanted New Model Army. The Kirk then divided into Engagers and the Kirk Party. The Engagers raised an army to free Charles and were defeated at Preston. Charles was executed and Cromwell pacified Ireland. The Kirk Party forced Charles II to sign the Covenant and raised an army to impose Presbyterianism on England. That the English couldn't stomach Presbyterianism was no disincentive to the Scots. Cromwell returns from Ireland and leads an army to Scotland. The army was well provisioned but had too few tents. Disease and exposure debilitated the troops, and failure to take Edinburgh demoralised them. The Kirk attached clerical commissars to the army, from which they had already purged 3,000 experienced troops. They prevented an attack on the Sabbath. Cromwell dug in at Dunbar, and Leslie occupied Doon Hill. The retreat to Berwick was blocked, and Cromwell sent a desperate dispatch to Newcastle. Our lying here daily consumeth the men who fall sick beyond imagination. Leslie had a commanding position but no shelter, and at the urging of the clerical commissars descended Doon Hill to attack the next day. Cromwell consulted his commanders, who agreed the Scottish centre was wedged between the Burn and the Bray and couldn't manoeuvre. The English placed all their 3,500 cavalry on the coastal flank. Before dawn, Lambert secured the Broxburn crossing and routed the first line of Scottish lancers. Colonel Strachan rallied the Scottish second line and led a counter-attack that drove Lambert back across the Burn. George Monk's brigade advanced in support, and the inexperienced Scottish musketeers, who may have exhausted their ammunition in pre-dawn fighting, collapsed. Law's brigade turned to face the attack and Monk was thrown back. Cromwell immediately ordered Colonel Pride's infantry to move in support of Monk. Lambert brought up the second line of cavalry and charged Strachan's lancers head-on. Cromwell's regiment crossed the Broxburn by the seashore and attacked Strachan's right flank. Under the pressure of a double attack, the Scottish cavalry broke and fled. Parliament struck a medal, the first of its kind, for all ranks who fought at Dunbar. The following year, defeat at Worcester ended all attempts to impose Presbyterianism in England.